We are live inside KDKA TV studios. Welcome to the Extra Point, and we have a lot to cover here today on a Victory Sunday. Bob Pompiani joined by two-time Super Bowl champ, Hokie Bro 76, who's here, as always, analyzing this game. Thank you for joining us today. We have locker room interviews coming up. We also have your phone calls a little later in the program. But let's start with this win, 34-12, and it was a story of takeaways that blew the game open. The Steelers rely on them to win, and they certainly do. They lead the NFL in points off of takeaways, and today it was Kyle Duggar who came up with a big play, 74 yards. Later, we saw a scoop and score by James Pierre. A lot of big names to throw around, but maybe the biggest on top of my list is the biggest guy on the field, in Darnell Washington. Yeah. The man is just a destroyer out there, wasn't he today?
I don't even think at 310 pounds when I played, I would want to hit him head to head. He is just, I mean, he's got to weigh at least over 300 pounds, and this guy can run like a receiver. DBs just do not want to hit him, and he bulldozed for over 60, 70 yards in this game on 4 catches, I believe. And Darnell Washington is a guy that Aaron Rodgers loves to throw the ball to. You saw Mason Rudolph continue that throw to him a couple times. He was able to move the chains, Bob, on crucial third downs.
He really was. It's stiff-armed. And you look at that play, there were 3 players, including Geno Stone, DJ Turner in there, Carter. All of them were victimized by the big guy as he just ran down their side of the field and said, come on, I'm a moving vehicle and you're not going to stop me.
Geno Stone wanted none of him. Geno Stone a couple of times looked like he tried to avoid him or just kind of bump into him because he knew that could put him on the sideline for the rest of the game. I mean, running into him is like running into a brick wall.
There's no question about it. Now the word is around the NFL, watch out for number 80. And by the way, Darnell Washington has eclipsed his entire passing total from last year already this year. They're going to him a lot more. I think down the road there's a contract extension coming his way. We'll see how that goes. But the other thing we'll be following is the injury to Aaron Rodgers here. He left the game. He had something on his left hand. He was certainly favoring it the entire way. He did not return. Mason Rudolph came in and did very well in this game. As a matter of fact, he was 12 for 16, 127, a 118 rating. He hadn't played all year. That's pretty impressive for a guy you think can get the job done when need be.
I've always been a fan of Mason Rudolph. I always thought he didn't get a lot of opportunity. Here he came in a backup role. Like you said, Bob, marched down the field, 2 drives, 10 points. That first drive, it looked like he had a little rust shaken off. He had a couple throws behind the receivers, but he was able to move them down into field goal range. That second drive, it just looked like typical Mason Rudolph marching down the field, a nice little pass to Gainwell. How about Gainwell? What a game he had today.
Yes, he did.
It seems like he rises up, Bob, when Jaylen Warren's not available or he's not in the game because he stepped into this role as a number 1 guy in the second half and did a heck of a job.
And out of the backfield, that's why they wanted him to begin with out of Philadelphia's roster, because he was very good on third down. We had talked a lot last week about Jaylen Warren not being on the field, and obviously he should be at times, but this is one of the reasons why Gainwell today, out of the backfield, he was their leading receiver and 2 touchdown receptions as well. We have a lot coming up. We'll take you inside the locker room to hear from Mike Tomlin and players. Again, your phone calls are coming up, but there's the final score that gets the Steelers to 6-4, 34-12, or the Bengals are pretty much dead now at 3-7, and they just continue to hemorrhage, giving up points left and right. Can't score enough, although they had their chances today. Steeler defense stepped up when they needed to. We'll take a break, come back with more right here as we continue with the Forward Extra Point on KDKA+. To the Forward Extra Point, Bob Pompiani, Chris Hoke with you. We await Mike Tomlin at his press conference after a 34-12 win. You spoke of Mason Rudolph. He came in there, and Aaron Rodgers did not return to the field, so not sure what that situation is, but it was his left hand that he was favoring. But Rudolph's first drive came right in, and it was a productive one. 15 plays, 60 yards. It turned into a field goal only, but there was a 3rd and 11 completion to Roman Wilson. There was also a 3rd and 17 to Washington. Third down plays were very good for the Steelers. We've been talking about lack of making plays on third down offensively and defensively, but today they were right on the money.
They're right on the money. And listen, it seemed to me like when Mason Rudolph was in the game, he went more to DK Metcalf. We may see more if Aaron Rodgers can't come back in next week and the following weeks. More ball to DK Metcalf. He could throw a really good deep ball in this time of his career. He's more comfortable sitting in the pocket than Aaron Rodgers has shown over the last few weeks. I would say not the whole season, the last few weeks, Bob. And so it just seemed to me after coming off the Chargers game today, Aaron Rodgers, the offense wasn't really moving after that first drive. Maybe if Aaron sits for a little bit, nursing this in his hand or his elbow, Mason can get this offense, firing again.
Yeah, going down the field more. And Mason Rudolph does have a good long ball, and he certainly is a guy
very comfortable
who I think receivers. And I remember when George Pickens was here, he talked about, the guy throws really good passes down the field. And and Pickens was a beneficiary of that, so you may be right that Metcalf will do it. I thought this was a very physical game. Defense came out and played today. They made some hard hits, and we saw early in the game there was a hit by Jalen Ramsey on Jamar Chase, and a lot of people thought it was defenseless receiver, should have been flagged. But it sent a little bit of message, and then later they got involved to the point where Ramsey gets disqualified, which on the surface looks like really a careless play you don't want to make because he's one of their best guys back there on safety. But at the same time, there was some Twitter reaction to this, and maybe it was Chase who spit in his face. And they were slow motion, so I'm going to be interested to see what Ramsey says and see what Chase says.
There's always something that instigated that, right? But the reality was, I mean, we'll see. You'll be able to see that. Just like earlier in the year, we saw a big incident. I can't remember who it was, but they spit in his face. I think somebody spit in Dak Prescott's face earlier in the season. And we'll see if that comes out. But the reality was this, is that Jalen Ramsey lost his cool, and you can't do that, especially with the game still on the line.
All right, we'll have more on that right now. Mike Tomlin is live at the podium. Let's hear what head coach Mike Tomlin has to say.
Played hard. In some instances, we could have played smarter. And so there's individual and collective learning that needs to happen in some of those instances, but that's life. It's good to learn with the win. It was a big AFC North win for us. Aaron's obviously out with a wrist injury. It'll be evaluated in the morning. I'll give you guys more information there. Keyshawn Williams had a concussion. He's in the protocol. Jaylen Warren had an ankle. I think he was able to return. The rest is bumps and bruises associated with play. Can't say enough about the collective effort. It certainly wasn't ideal. We got challenged in a lot of ways, but you're going to get challenged in the National Football League on weekends, and it's just good to get a win and get back on the right side of things coming off of a poor performance and obviously a loss the last time we saw these guys. And so it's doubly satisfying from that perspective. Questions?
Mike, was it Aaron's right wrist, and what can you say about Mason and Kenny Gainwell making a big play?
It was his left wrist, and, you know, Mason's proven in the past what he showed today. That's why we value him as a member of this collective and appreciative of his play. And certainly Kenny Gainwell made play after play for us, winning in the flat and so forth. But a lot of guys did. I thought our tight end run after with Muth and Darnell in particular was really good. You got to be able to throw short and run long sometimes, win conversions in that fashion, flip fields in that fashion. And so it was a lot of guys that contributed to that.
Has James Pierre grown throughout the year, not just in front of what we saw with our own eyes today?
He's grown throughout the years. Yes, he's gotten better with each and every year he's been here with his roles and his ability to respond to opportunity and so forth. There's a veteran high level of consistency that we're seeing right now. That's why I talked about him the way I talked about him, I think, on Tuesday.
What keyed the better defensive performance against Cincinnati this time?
I'm sorry?
What keyed it today? What was better today than?
We got stability at the safety position. Other than, Jalen not finishing the game, we got stability at the safety position.
Did you get any explanation of what happened with Jalen Ramsey, what led to him popping off against Jamar Chase?
I didn't need any. It doesn't matter. We gotta be smarter. We gotta stay in football games as individuals.
Just follow up to the safeties, Kyle Duggar. Can you talk about his effect on the defense? The interception that he made could be the changing point of the game.
He's a veteran player, man. That's been there, done that guy. That's why we coveted him at the trade deadline. He's been an asset to us, certainly, and increasingly so. I'm excited about moving forward with him as he continues to get solid in assignments, communication, and understanding.
Ramsey ejected? Was he ejected, Mike, or did you take him?
What's that?
Was he ejected?
He was ejected.
Okay, because I never heard you.
He was ejected. Yes, I'm sorry.
Aaron's injury designation was questionable. Could he have returned in the second half?
I don't have the answer to that, to be honest with you. I'll have more information next time we talk.
Do you think Mason Rudolph did? How did you feel like Mason Rudolph did?
As I mentioned, he's always delivered when called upon in the past. That's why we value him. His performance was consistent with what he's done in the past for us. And not that we take it for granted. We don't. We appreciate it.
Did he return to the sideline, or was he just staying in the locker room after his injury, Aaron Rodgers?
Again, I don't know. My attention was on the field and those that were on the field.
Do you do anything in the second half?
I'm sorry?
Do you do anything in the second half to kind of account for the fact that Mason hasn't played? Do you make things a little bit more cautious or careful?
No, Mason's played a lot of football in this league. We might lean to things that are more in his wheelhouse, but it wasn't because of lack of play.
Jamar Chase had a big day against you guys last time around. This day, 10 targets, 3 catches, 30 yards. He talked about how they knew what you guys were going to do last time around. What did you change up this time that might have gotten in the way of him having a good day?
I don't know that we changed anything of any significance. I just thought we were more solid today, to be honest with you.
Coach, your thoughts on Gainwell, not just rushing, but also receiving as he led with 81 yards.
And I think he also made a tackle on kickoff, you know. I value him as a football player first. We saw a lot of that, man, on his Philadelphia tape. He's good in a lot of areas, including special teams. And so we just respect what he brings to the table.
Did you see exactly how Aaron got hurt and what happened?
I did not.
You talked a lot about Mason thus far, and this is not to compare him to Aaron in any way, but when you have a guy that's familiar with your system, has experience as a Steeler, as a coach, is there any little bit of calming effect when you know number 2's going in with his background here?
It's no doubt. It's no doubt.
Anyone else?
Mike, what do you say for the offense in general? I mean, you talk about having faith in the individual players, but having your starting quarterback and your starting running back on the sideline could cause a lot of other issues that didn't seem to prop up for you.
That's life in the big dance. You're going to be challenged in a lot of ways as individuals, as collectives, or collectives within the larger collective. It's our job to adapt and improvise and do what's required to win.
Say that your defensive front was more effective against Flacco and in terms of pressuring him than out in Cincinnati?
I just thought as a collective, whether it's front, secondary, linebackers, I just think we were more solid. I think we were more connected. I thought we communicated well. It's not necessarily about what it is that they do. It's about the quality of what we do. And I thought we were just above the line in so many of the intangible areas today that allowed us to play.
What can be said about Darnell Washington's performance today, especially that big run that he had where I think he moved over like 3 Bengals players?
It's been highly consistent. We're appreciative of him. We're appreciative of Spencer Anderson. That's why we introduced him with the starting lineup to show respect to that.
Were you able to talk with Aaron after his injury, either off the field or at halftime?
I was.
Did he disclose anything?
He was excited about the win. I just talked to him. But that's all we talked about. We didn't talk about his injury. We talked about the significance of the win.
Anyone else?
How significant can you say this win is, considering with where you guys are in the division?
It's perspective. It feels good right now, but it's about what happens moving forward, and it always is. That's just the nature of this thing. It's sweet today. Tomorrow we go back to work. It's big business waiting on us next week.
The stage was set. Acrisure Stadium was buzzing, the crowd electric, hungry for redemption. The Pittsburgh Steelers were ready to settle the score with the Cincinnati Bengals after a painful loss earlier this season. And what started as a tale of dominance soon twisted into something far more complex, a triumph marked by concern, a night of highs and one shocking low. The Steelers opened with fire. Aaron Rodgers, the veteran, the maestro, was in rhythm. He hit DK Metcalf early. Jaylen Warren burst through for a 35-yard run, and Kenneth Gainwell capped off the opening drive with a slick screen pass touchdown. Pittsburgh was alive, sharp, and rolling. But in the NFL, everything can change in one play, and it did. Late in the first half, deep in Bengals territory, Rodgers tried to extend a play like he's done 1,000 times. But this time, after taking a punishing hit, he braced his fall with his left arm. The stadium held its breath as he stood up slowly, blood visible on his non-throwing hand. He left the field, and though his return was labeled questionable, he would not come back, and fans feared the worst. Enter Mason Rudolph. For a backup, few get thrown into a tougher spot. Coming in cold, second half, divisional game, tight scoreline. But Rudolph didn't flinch. He was efficient, calm, and fearless, completing key third downs, finding Roman Wilson and Darnell Washington, and leading 2 crucial scoring drives. He looked every bit the composed leader Pittsburgh needed in that moment. Behind Rudolph's arm and Gainwell's legs, the Steelers controlled the second half. The offense moved methodically. The defense, ruthless. Kyle Duggar flipped the momentum with a 74-yard pick six. Then, in the fourth quarter, James Pierre scooped up a fumble and raced to the end zone, flipping in for another defensive touchdown. Just like that, the Steelers had a commanding 34-12 lead, and the Acrisure crowd erupted. But all eyes were still on the news from the locker room. ESPN's Adam Schefter reported what fans dreaded. The initial fear was a slight break in Rodgers' left wrist. Further tests are scheduled, but early signs point to a potential multi-week absence. The four-time MVP, who's thrown for nearly 2,000 yards and 19 touchdowns this season, may miss his first game of the year, and possibly more. Rodgers' leadership and presence have defined the Steelers' offense in 2025. His calm under pressure, his timing, his control, all irreplaceable. But Pittsburgh has learned how to fight through adversity, and fight they did. Mike Tomlin praised Rudolph's readiness and the team's resilience. He emphasized the collective spirit, how this roster doesn't depend on one star, but on every man doing his job. The next man up mentality is more than a slogan in Pittsburgh. It's culture. With a 6-4 record, the Steelers are still in the thick of the AFC North race. Next week brings a new test and likely a new QB1. Rudolph, with years in this system, will now get the keys. And he's not alone. Gainwell, Washington, Metcalf, the O-line, and a vicious defense are all ready to carry the weight. Rodgers' injury is a gut punch, but this team, forged in black and gold, doesn't quit. They adapt, they respond, and they rise. The Steelers crushed the Bengals, but more importantly, they showed the world they're not just Rodgers' team, they're Pittsburgh's team. And Pittsburgh doesn't back down.